Storyboards kind of work in tandem with the shot list. I would highly recommend hand drawing them. These ones that you can see here have been done really well by someone who knows what they're doing. But if you are not good at drawing, that's okay, because all you need to, this is basically just a template of what the shots are going to look like and an understanding of how much space the characters are taking up in the shot. So you don't need to be able to draw this well. Even if it's just, you're just drawing the people that are in the shot, it's all about where they're in the frame and how much space they're taking up. So it doesn't have to be exactly exact. You don't have to draw every single detail of the background. You can if you want, but you're just giving yourself more work to do. You will have shared with you the template, which looks like this, which is a PDF. And you can see there's space to put the scene and the shot numbers, the shot size, and notes. In the notes section, you can include dialogue. You don't have to write anything in the notes, especially if the picture details what the shot is going to be of. Then the notes section is just for extra things. If there's camera movements, if the characters move, if there's anything that doesn't come across in the shot, then you should use the notes section for that. I'm not going to play this, but that might be something that you want to go and watch. This is just a good little video that is storyboarding for people who can't draw. And like I was saying before, you don't have to be able to draw. Look at that car. It's terrible. But I can still tell that it's a car. And I can still tell how much of that car is going to be in that shot. So if you struggle with drawing, maybe go and have a look at that. There are other ways to storyboard with photos. This is an example of an online storyboarding app. I think this is Celtec Studio, and there's another one called Storyboard That. Look, they're good, they're pretty, they're easy to edit, to move things around. It breaks it into scenes. However, I find them really, really clunky to use and really, really time consuming. So if you want to have a go of one of those, by all means, try it. See how you feel about it. I just find it easier to draw. You can use photos and that the storyboarding template that I've shared with you. Here's an example of someone that's done that. You can see here that if they've got shots which are the same, so they're framed the same, even though they're separate shots, you can just take the one photo and use it multiple times. You can see there that they've drawn a shot because they don't have a photograph on it. You can also see there that they've used arrows to indicate where the camera movements are. So they basically work the same as drawing it, but it just saves you having to draw the images. What I would recommend if you plan to do this is to use the same actors and locations that you plan to for your actual shoot. This is a great way to get a camera and get your actors, go into the space and actually think about what the shots are going to look like looking through a camera lens. So if you have that, if that is available to you, I would highly recommend doing that. Don't do this with actors that are not your actors. I've had students do this. One student in particular that used their dad in place of one of their female teenage friends, and it was super confusing. All right, so make sure that try to use the same actors. If you can't use the same actors, use someone that looks similar. Now you can do this digitally. You can go and take these photos and copy and paste them into this PDF or into a Word document or try not to use Google Docs. Google Docs don't play really well with photos. You can even just go and take these photos, print them out and cut them out with scissors and glue them with a glue stick if you want to do it that way. Here's another example. This is from Glenn, the film which got into top screens a few years ago. And he's used a different actor from the actor in his film, but it's still like a kind of male dude. So kind of similar. There are other examples. So this link here is to some top screen folios from 2019. And you can see there's different ways to storyboard. So these ones here follow a different format. And this film here is one that has kind of combined multiple shots into the frame at once. And so this student has had to kind of do things a little bit differently. But ultimately, what this is suggesting is there's no absolute wrong or right way to storyboard, just as long as the purpose of storyboarding remains the same. If the point of doing this is to make it purposeful, is for you to pre-visualize what your film is going to look like and order this in a way that you are able to shoot it, and order this in a way that it's going to make sense once you edit it all together. Okay, so go through, have a look at some of those other examples. Things to note when storyboarding. Depending on your film and depending on your narrative, you should be looking at around 50 to 100 shots. Okay. If you have a slower paced narrative, slower editing, the use of long takes, you might not have as many shots. If you are creating something with higher tension and you want to use faster paced editing, then you're going to have more shots. There's no definitive amount of shots that you should be looking at, but that's a rough kind of guide. Ultimately, if you think that you've storyboarded your whole film and you're looking at 30 shots, it's not enough. Like I showed you in the example, shot movement should be depicted using arrows. You should use arrows to show when the camera is moving. You should use arrows to show when actors are moving around the screen, when people are turning their head, when someone's looking in a certain direction. Use arrows. The only problem with storyboards is that they are static. They don't move. So you need to be able to show that movement. This is a way to pre-visualize your film. So use this purposefully. So think about what you want your film to look like and use your storyboards to do that. Your finished product needs to be consistent with your storyboards. So once you've created your storyboards, you go out and shoot your film. When it comes time to marking your work, there needs to be a correlation between what you've planned to do and what you've actually done. You can make changes along the way, but those changes need to be justified. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But ultimately, don't just kind of fluff through the storyboards and think that you're going to just wing it when you pick up a camera, because it doesn't work that way. Your storyboards need to reflect what you intend to do. So that you need to think about this now, not later. And when you do make changes, which is perfectly fine, those changes need to be justified. But if you've made tons of changes in your finished film from your actual storyboards, you're going to be losing marks, because it means that you haven't really thought about this during the pre-production stage, which is when you should be doing most of this planning. Okay, so I mentioned you can use Word, you can use Pages, you can use an iPad and a note-taking app like Notability. Don't use Google Docs because it doesn't play well with images. Although a Google slideshow could work because it does play well with images, and you can format a Google slideshow so that it's A4 sized, so when you could actually print it out as a PDF. Or there's the PDF file that you have access to, and you could literally copy and paste photos into that. Okay, so that's basic. So we discussed screenwriting, we discussed writing a shot list, and we discussed storyboarding. Let me know if you've got any questions.